prepare the room and the meeting to be the best possible, right? So we can learn something important for us tonight. Dear God, we thank you for this beautiful opportunity of learning, being together, reunited here. May this study be blessed. May this evening be an enlightened one. And be with us, Lord. And we thank you. So be it. All right. We're going to continue watching out for people that are coming in eventually. Okay, perfect. So we are going to use, obviously, the English version of the Spirits book. That's the edition that I have. And we are in the beginning. So that's good. If you're just coming for the first time, and I see a couple of first timers here tonight, we're going to have the beautiful thing is that we just started a couple of weeks ago, I guess 2 months. 2 months now, and we are on the vital principle. Very interesting. Question 70 will be this question tonight. And question 70 is a long one. It's one of those questions that is material for a whole study. So let's see how can we move on with the questions, because question 70 is loaded. We are still on the chapter on the subtitle Life and Death. Question 70. What happens to the matter and the vital principle of organic beings after death? That's a very important question. So the first questions of the Spirits book, we went through a lot of good things about Adam, about the formation of the worlds, and now we're talking about the vital principle. This part is also something that the Spiritism explains pretty much in a manner that is never against science. We went, I guess, two classes ago on question 59 is one of the biggest ones on the Spirits book. And we were talking about the beginning of the humanity populating on Earth and the myth of Adam and how science sees it. And even though this part is so loaded with details on the Genesis, the Spirits book brings it. The Spirit books contains everything. No wonder why it's the first one. If you can grasp the Spirits book completely, then you grasp a bit of the Gospel, you grasp a bit of Genesis, you grasp a bit of everything. It's there. So let's go to question 70. What happens to the matter and the vital principle if organic beings after that? So what happens to that vital principle? And the Spirits answered, the inert matter decomposes and is used to form other beings. That part, you fully understand. The vital principle returns to the universe. And we're gonna, even though the explanation of the vital principle and it was given on previous questions, it's always good to look and to note. Hey, let me see here. The beginning of chapter 4, for the ones that are just here for the first time, starts on question 60. So it's just 10 questions before this one. So it's good because it explains about the organic and inorganic beings and what is the vital principle. And it's really something that if you're interested in knowing a little more to catch up to where we are, It's a good idea. But I'm going to read the explanation of the answer. After the death of the organic being, the elements that had formed its body undergo new combinations, forming new beings, which in turn draw the principle of life and activity from the universal source. They absorb and assimilate it and restore it again to that source as soon as they themselves cease to exist. The organs are impregnated, so to speak, with the vital fluid, o fluido vital, the vital fluid. So the vital fluid, we have an understanding of what it is. So what is the definition of the vital fluid? The ethereal fluid spread throughout the fleshly body is like a telegraph that transmits the sensation to the sensitive center, which is the spirit. The nerves, and this is a note, the editor's note, the number 1 that goes to the bottom of the book. So it's the question, the answer, the explanation to the answer, and the editor's note. So, like I said, question 70 has a lot of material. So the nerves are the conducting wires for this fluid, whose course, however, can be interrupted by an agent that isolates it from the brain. The vital fluid, also called the vital principle, is a modified form of the universal cosmic fluid. So the universal cosmic fluid is the base for everything, right? Everything that exists is a modification of the universal cosmic fluid. And for the organic beings, the vital fluid is that specific modification. So when you see a body of a person that's deceased, the matter is there, but the vital fluid is no longer present. And that's what the question is going to explain in details. The vital fluid, also called the vital principle, is a modified form of the universal cosmic fluid. It is the basic element of life. Life here is considered in the meaning attributed by science, which is characterized by birth, growth, reproduction, and death. So for us to be here talking, breathing, smiling, studying, we have the vital fluid present on us, as all the other organic beings do have. So this is one of the beautiful things of God. So when you see that's the spark that brings life to what we are. And that vital fluid is just one of the modifications of the universal cosmic fluid, which is the matter, the substance that surrounds us and is part of us. Everything there is a modification of one of the modifications of the universal cosmic fluid. No matter if it's tangible or untangible, that's what it is. But for specifically the organic beings, that's what we studied on question 60. That's the vital fluid. So there is a difference. The organs are impregnated, so to speak, with the vital fluid, which enables all the body's components to actively communicate with one another when certain lesions occur and to restore functions that have temporarily ceased. However, when the elements essential for the functioning of the organs are destroyed or profoundly altered, the vital fluid cannot transmit this life-giving movement to them, and the organism dies. So when the elements are destroyed or profoundly altered, then it's not transmitted to the as a life-giving movement to them. A body's organs necessarily react upon one another to a lesser or greater extent. And this reciprocity of action results from their being in harmony as a whole. It is so perfect, right? We have the exact, the most perfect machine that is. It's our tool, it's our channel to 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 live and to grow and to to perform all our activities in life. Two eyes, two ears, a nose, all the organs that are in pairs, right? Like the kidneys and the lungs. It's because we need them as two. And the ones that are just one, we need them as one. So nothing, nothing could be more of a testimony of the existence of God in such minimal things in life. We see that perfection. We see perfection on the lilies, right? That's what it is. It's just like the flowers and the beautiful thing that is to walk during spring shows us that the magnificent masterpiece that it is. This is why every time we're having the study here, we do not study just the book. We take that opportunity to remind ourselves why we are here studying this. It's for us to understand us a little better. You can sit and you can read at home, but to grasp the meaning of it, you know, it's so beautiful, the components of God's creation. And when we talk about the vital principle, which is the principle of life, the spark that makes us exist as organic beings, it is just amazing. That concept we have, and I will recommend to everyone here tonight. Yesterday, I watched this documentary that was released yesterday. Andre Luis, Andre Luis, um, the doctor of the future. I'm going to say the name in Portuguese too, because this is where you're going to find it. André Luiz, o médico do futuro. So this documentary is a 47-minute documentary. And I will tell you this much. You are going to have to watch it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, until you can grasp everything. It goes over the books of André Luiz, but it explains so much about, and when we read about this, we think, yes, André Luiz was a doctor. And he knew way before we know some things that we know nowadays. They're there on these books. And if you read them, you note that they were written decades ago. And now the knowledge that is contained there is so powerful. And nowadays people are saying, wow, the medicine got to understand that, but that was on Andre Luis books decades ago. It's just wonderful. So I highly recommend watching that documentary. You're not gonna regret. André Luiz, o médico do futuro. André Luiz, the doctor of the future. And it was released yesterday. And on the first hour that it was released, it had over 5,000 accesses. So it was like, I guess everybody was waiting for it. And reading about the beauty of the organs and how our physical body is just perfect, amazing. It's just, God is wonderful. Their functions, however, the organs sees when something destroys this harmony, just like in a movement of a mechanism whose essential components break down, or like a clock that has been worn out by use or broken by accident, and in which there is no longer any motive force to keep it running. We must understand this once and for all. Everything is interconnected. If you remove one little piece of the clock, the mechanism stops. If one of your organs is not working well or healthy, the whole organism, you as a whole, uh, you will suffer. So it's so important that we understand that everything matters. The little things matter because it's all part of a whole mechanism that works in synchrony according to the laws of life, the laws of God, the laws of nature. We have an even better image of life and death in an electronic device. Such a device receives electricity and stores it in a latent state, as do all bodies in nature. However, the electric phenomenon is not manifested until the electric fluid is put in motion by a certain cause. Only then can we say that the device is alive. That's when you turn on your coffee maker or whatever. If you don't turn it on, the mechanism is not starting. So this is basically the explanation. It's how does it say it? On a latent state. It's there, but it's sparks once you put it in motion. And then one can say that the device is alive. When the cause of the activity ceases, so does the phenomenon. The device returns to the state of inertia. Organic bodies may thus be compared to batteries or electronic devices in which the vital fluids activity produces the phenomenon of life. The cessation of this activity causes death. When that switch cannot be turned on anymore, guess what? That's when life ceases to exist. Because we know very well that we are not our bodies, right? It's a combination of things. And studying the Spirit's book and this part of the vital fluid, we understand in more details what is that force that animates all the organic beings. The amount of vital fluid is not the same in all organic beings. It varies according to species and is not constant in the same individual or in the various individuals of the same species. So it varies from person to person. There are those who are saturated, so to speak, with this fluid, while others possess barely enough of it. That is why for some, life is more active, more energetic, and in certain way, more superabundant. So this is what I was trying to remember and tell you guys about this documentary about Andre Luis. It goes over the pineal gland. And we know that study of pineal gland is just amazing. I don't even have the courage to to put my face there and talk about the pineal gland because it's such a very, very important study that we understand that this is the communication in our brain with the not non-material world, right? So to say. And when on the documentary they're talking about the pineal gland, the beautiful things that happen in our brain, and that proves that this communication is real. So when somebody tells me, "Yeah, I don't believe in mediumship. I don't believe that people communicate with the with the other worlds," I just I just it's impossible to try to convince somebody. You have to understand that when the person is ready, they will get to understand that. This time will come for all of us. But the studies of the pineal gland can even prove that a person is a medium because of the activity on that gland and the amount of crystals. And they called a calcification yesterday. It is beautiful. So if you can watch it, I know we've had a lot of studies about the pineal gland, but knowing this, studying this part on the Spirit's book, it always goes like hand in hand with everything that is, because Spiritism is that. It's beautiful. it doesn't contradict science. We go hand in hand with science. And I will dare to say that science will understand and grasp a lot more when can um, embrace what the spirits told us. Since 1857, that was the first book of the codification. So there was a lot, especially in the books of Andre Luis. I guess there is no doubt of that physical part, how the fluids, how the influence of uh, the spirituality, disease, and perispirit. These concepts are just like beautiful. And we understand we create health and disease. It's a decision. Our bodies are perfect. They were given to us perfect. It's up to us to keep it that way. And when disease comes for something that is out of our control or something that could have happened from a previous life, then it's going to be a calling for us to understand what we need to do different, right? And what can we learn from that experience? It's always a learning. Nothing goes wrong. Everything is in the most absolute order in life. God is supremely just and good. There are no mistakes. So in studying this beautiful thing that is the vital fluid and all the modifications that are the universal cosmic fluid, we understand that it's impossible to not believe that there is a supreme intelligence behind it all. The amount of vital fluid may become depleted and insufficient for maintaining life if it is not renewed by absorbing and assimilating substances that contain it. That part is really, really important. The amount of vital fluid may become depleted and insufficient for maintaining life if it is not renewed by absorbing and assimilating substances that contain it. Topic for a great study, too. The vital fluid may be transmitted from one individual to another. Those who have greater quantities of it can give it to those who have less. And in certain cases, they can bring back a life on the verge of being extinguished. The other day, I had an experience that was so powerful. It was one of the cutest things ever within this quarantine. I usually walk my dogs around the condominium in a small area within the courtyard here in the morning. In the evening, I go further. I go outside. I go out to the street, but in the morning, no. It's a quick walk because I have my obligations. So that day, I felt that I had to go out. So that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I felt that I had to go out. And when I passed by the outside of the condominium, there was this little bird that probably fell off the nest. And it was there, like, just like so like tight, like all crawled like this. And even the dogs wouldn't bark at it because I felt they sense, oh, it's a baby. So my dogs were like close but not close, but they were not barking. They sniffed it and they were like just backed up. And I said, oh my God, he was almost on the verge of being on the road. And this is an avenue that's very busy. So he would have gone. So I said, oh my God, if I touch it, the tree was so tall, I couldn't barely possibly put it back. But if I put it back, we know what happens, right? It doesn't help. So I walked away, and then something told me, go back and give him some energy. So I was like a little further, like distant from and then I started praying and I started giving it a posse. And I started praying and I said, Give him energy to go back, to get out of there. Please don't let him go to the street. Let him survive this. And he opened his wings and he flew back to the tree. And I was like, wow, that's all it needed. It just needed a little bit of energy to go back. And it did. And I was so happy. I was thinking about that for that whole day. And I was thinking about that for days because I was so happy that he received my energy. And he was able to, with that little bit of vital fluid, he was able to fly. So we're going to finish here. We're going to finish with a prayer. Next class, we're going to talk about intelligence and instinct. Question 71. So let's thank God for these moments together. It goes by like this, right? But it's a good topic that we had today. I knew that question 70 would be the whole thing because it encompasses a lot. But I'm really happy that we had this time together. So let's pray and thank God for one more evening of study. This is a joy always. The Spirit's book is a joy. It is a joy to understand more about the spirits, about ourselves. We thank you, Kardec, for that. We thank you, Lord, for bringing us the Consoler. We think that we are better humans when we are awakened. And we ask your protection, Lord, for a whole week. May we have all of us and our families here together tonight. May we be blessed with a healthy week, prosperous, in light, in peace, in harmony. May God protect each one of us and each one of our families for this whole week. And we thank you, Lord, for bringing us together one more time. So be it. So we'll see you guys next week. Hope you all have a phenomenal week, a week of blessings. And we'll see you on Tuesday in the same place, right? And for a lecture of Ponto de Luz, this place of light that is bringing us the gospel and the teachings of Jesus. Blessings to all. Have a great evening and a blessed week. We'll see you. Bye-bye.